It's not a job, it's a way of life. We know. At Hallway Feeds, we've worked for generations to advance equine nutrition because watching them at their peak is like nothing else. With Hallway Feeds, the race is in the bag.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Horse Races Now podcast. All right, Kenny, assuming you're still at Saratoga, I think that's what you told us. This is your last week there?
Last week, yeah. I'll probably leave here next Tuesday or Wednesday. Hadn't really decided yet.
A lot going on in your world.
Yeah, we got to tighten down everything. We've got horses that are going to be moving to Belmont for the fall. We've got a full division still here at Saratoga, and then we've got to tie off loose ends on houses and things like that. So yeah, the details are constant.
Yeah,
and but it's been a really good summer, and
I was going to say that you've had a remarkable summer. If you look back and see how well a lot of your horses have done, and man, there's been a lot of action. And then you talk about all the different sales you've been to. Your summer has been pretty good.
Well, it's kind of cross between working and playing, I suppose. But between Japan and France,
right,
that's been a little bit exhausting. But look, it's all good. I really wanted to see the Japan trip, and then the French sale I've been for out of last 5 years. I missed last year because Torpedo Anna ran in the Travers, but
that's right.
That was a great trip. We bought, I think I told you last week, we bought 3 nice yearlings on that visit.
Yep.
And then we've got the Keeneland sale coming up, and then Fasig-Tipton in the fall. So we've still got some sales work to do.
So, Kenny, we had let's talk about the Grizzly. She had a nice run this past weekend.
Yeah, really proud of her. That filly Dorth Vader ran a fantastic race.
Yeah.
I mean, she gave us all we could handle, and just really, really obviously proud that Torpedo Anna was able to fight her off. What I want to talk about a little bit today is that the change in silks and the change in ownership. We haven't discussed that too much.
No, we showed the new silks last week, but we haven't discussed it much.
Yeah, Brookdale made a decision that they wanted to sell their half, and so it's a little complicated. We've worked with them for several years now, and Natter, the principal of Brookdale, has been great, but they made some decisions to sell, and they sold to John Sakura's Hillendale group, and so she ran in a new set of silks. And there's obviously a little pressure switching silks. When I wanted to see those silks win first time under tack too.
Heck yeah.
I didn't want things to go backwards there, but our experience working with Brookdale has been really good. But it's a few changes there, and we're excited with the new ownership group. And myself, I kept my share intact, and then Judy Hicks and Mark Edwards did too. So we weren't involved in the sale of the other half, and so half the horse ownership didn't change, and the other half did.
Kenny, I would think something like that is a huge investment, especially coming in now at this point of the horse's career. But you think about all the back end, and you talk about all the lineage you could potentially have with Torpedo Anna. I mean, that's a pretty awesome investment, I would think.
Well, I believe John Sakura's long-term idea is the breeder to Curlin, which I would love because I bought Curlin as a yearling as well. So that for me is really exciting, and he's going to have more control, or certainly more input on how she's bred and what we do with her in her next stage. But we're going to make a decision here in the next couple of races whether she races next year or not, and that could be that could be exciting if she races next year, and if she doesn't, then she could be a fantastic brood mare.
All right, what about other horses that ran this past weekend? Can anything that surprised you? Anything that you were proud of?
Taken by the Wind, we won with her. Yesterday we had a Royal Sweet win at Colonial Downs. We've had a good solid week altogether, and team's doing a great job as always.
All right, Kenny, I'm gonna get to a question here from one of our listeners. This one fascinates me because in my marketing world, I deal with a lot of AI, and we deal with ChatGPT all the time. And one of our listeners says they were under the weather, so they got bored and engaged in a conversation with ChatGPT. Asked ChatGPT if I had $20,000 and I wanted to buy a yearling at the Keeneland sale. I asked ChatGPT to find me the best bloodline for that price. Well, and it came back with a pretty detailed response. It came back with two different hip numbers. It came back with hip 3602, which is a colt by Mo Dangle, I think it is, out of Double Chocolate, Bernardini.
Mo
Donegal. And then the dam is Bernardini. And the ChatGPT says it screams a 2-turn, late developing horse that could stretch to 9 to 10 furlongs, your most realistic Derby trail type with that budget. Interesting, huh? That AI can do that?
A September Keeneland yearling.
Yeah.
That seems to be a little extreme that ChatGPT can do that, but I'm that they can't look at horses is the problem.
Right.
And
there's no visual.
You're not. No, you really need to look at a horse. I mean, that's what makes all the difference. You can't buy horses on paper. You have to look at the physical and actually touch them and feel them and see how they move. And so I don't know if I'd be buying yearlings with ChatGPT.
I tell you what, though, Kenny.
No, in fact, I think Kenny McPeek would be a better idea.
Listen, though, I hear you, but I thought it was interesting. It could do a little bit of your legwork for you beforehand. I mean, it's kind of interesting. Okay, there you go. Nonsense it is. I love it.
No, nonsense. They don't know whether the horse passes a vet exam, whether it's had some sort of history. All that stuff's got to be researched, and you definitely cannot do it on paper. So when we go to a horse sale, we look at every single horse. We spend our time examining every detail, and the sales catalog is one of the last things that we concern ourselves with. Now, I do like Bernardini as a broodmare sire.
Yeah.
Certainly top broodmare sire. Sovereignty's out of a Bernardini.
Okay, there you
Bernardini mares are golden, if you ask me. But they were always bred to really good stallion or good mares themselves.
You brought up Sovereignty. Man, you were on that horse before anybody else. Wow, that horse was impressive this past weekend.
Well, he's horse of the year. I mean, I'll be very surprised if he doesn't win horse of the year, even with the rest of the season to be played out. It may affect my decision making with Anna, whether we went to the distaff or the classic. Mm-hmm. Watching him, I would strongly lean to the distaff.
Yeah, makes sense.
I mean, he's next level talent. But that decision's not made yet, of course, and we'll see. We've got hopefully one more run before that.
So, and this isn't so much a question, but a statement, and maybe we can figure this out for the Keeneland sales, but a lot of our listeners, and we get this over and over and over, they'd love to see an episode where you kind of go over the conformation of some of the horses, the positive points and the differences between dirt and turf, and just show the listeners how you judge a good yearling. Now, maybe that'd be giving away some of the secret sauce, but that's normally, you're pretty much an open book. What do you think about that, Kenny?
Yeah, no, I'm glad to do that. I mean, if you go online, you could probably find some videos of me. On YouTube, there are some videos of me explaining conformation and what I look for.
Gotcha.
It's easier to explain it than it is for somebody. You can't really learn that in just a short order. It's something you have to look at thousands and thousands of horses. It's 10,000 hours of makes you an expert.
Yeah, amen. That's right.
But I like to say I trained a lot of average to bad horses to learn what they look like and enough good ones to know the difference. And they come in all shapes and sizes, and that's why there's not a exact type out there. Sure. Although I have friends of mine that say, a lot of your horses look similar. Where they look similar is in the hind leg.
Right.
And so I do buy a certain package of a hind leg that works for me. And sometimes that if they have speed and that good hind leg, then we get a very, very good horse. And if they don't, then we get what you call a grinder, or a horse that just gallops and finishes well, but needs a pace setup. So, yeah, all that's interesting. You really need to work around horses daily and see how they run and how they're made all at the same time.
All right. Last week, we talked a lot about training and kind of your thought on how to train a horse to be the best they can be. One of our listeners says in his DVD, Jerry Bailey states that and to instill speed into a horse, a 3 furlong workout timed between 34 to 35 seconds is effective. Do you agree with this?
No. Jerry, stick to riding.
There you go.
No, not training.
Hey, he's a jockey.
Jerry's a wonderful guy. He wrote a lot for me. They're over the years, what he's talking about is a speed blowout. The problem is you can't make a horse do something that it's not naturally capable of doing. And what I found is, you try to put that zippy speed into them. Most of the time it doesn't work.
Right.
They have to have that natural talent to jump away from there and then finish on their own. But every horse is different, and there are trainers that try this trick and that trick. And I've tried that trick over the years, and I've found that it really isn't as effective as you might think. And yet it would be an old school approach to trying to get horse to show a little speed. And so that's I mostly try to keep it simple though.
Okay.
Now we shorter gallop sprinters and longer gallop the routers.
Okay.
And so that would be a little bit different. You don't want to over gallop a horse at sprints. You want to try to keep them so that they're the length of their gallops are shorter than longer.
All right. This next question, when I read it, I was like, oh, that's a great question. Peppermints. When you start training a yearling, do you give the horse a peppermint only if the horse does something good, kind of like a treat you would give a dog? Or is the peppermint just something you give to a horse all the time? Is it a way to incentivize a horse?
Well, here in Saratoga and Churchill and Keeneland, a lot of our racing locations will keep bags of peppermints around all the time. At Silverleaf in Ocala, when the young horses are getting going, I'm going to be honest, typically we don't keep a lot of those there. Okay. Now, I would encourage an owner to bring them if they want to come in and treat their horse. But it tends to be that we do it mostly with the racing horses. And I don't know why that is, as much as probably keeping them around wherever I'm at. Or like Torpedo Anna just responds to a peppermint like she's a puppy when she has a peppermint in her hand. But she's learned that. And then years back, you have to teach a young horse to acquire taste on those. I can remember a filly I had named CJ's Lily that just absolutely hated them as a 2-year-old. She'd taste them, she'd spit them out. Spit it out. You had to shove one in her mouth for her to acquire the taste. And because it is a unusual taste for a young horse. But once they adapt to it and they enjoy it and they realize it's a sweet, then they melt in your mouth or melt in your hand. Tahano Run, the first good horse I ever trained, was vicious to be around. He would bite you. He would eat you alive.
Right.
But if you had a peppermint in your pocket and he knew it, he would melt. And one time I went out to see him when he was a stallion at Hillendale years ago. And he was actually the first horse that John Sakura ever stood as a stallion. And I went out there to see him. And I jumped the fence, and the stallion handler was yelling at me like, "No, absolutely not! He will kill you!" And I had a pocket full of peppermints, and he stopped in his tracks to get them. And the guy was like, "Oh yeah, you know this horse, don't you?" I said, "Yes."
That's awesome. So it's not necessarily a reward; it's just something that you use just to be friendly with the horse.
Yeah, I mean, they like the taste, whether it's carrots or peppermints or. We've got some horse biscuits in here, which I don't know if I'd eat one, but the horses like them. So.
I saw a video on X of a goat that walked into one of your barns, and it didn't look like he wanted any part of the whatever you were trying to feed it. It was some sort of biscuit or something. He was just
being curious. Francisco and I were working on some set lists and making some decisions on, and then the goat pushed the door open and just kind of, hey, what are y'all doing in here?
Yeah, it was funny.
So yeah, and he smelled the dog.
Oh, well, that's probably
Actually, Sonny's sitting here next to me right here. You want a cameo, Sonny?
Come on, Sonny. There he is.
Yeah, Sonny's he's here chilling. He gets, if I let him loose now, he'll run around the barnyard, and then everybody be going,
Now,
"Come get your dog."
is there a spot that Sonny likes more than another that you can tell? Is it like being home, or maybe it's Magdalena, or maybe one of the barns? Where does Sonny like the most?
Well, first thing in the morning, he's right at my heels, ready to go to the track. I mean, once my feet hit the ground, can I go? Can I go? I want to go. But he will lay out this front door of the office here and sun himself, and lay right there at the front door, almost protecting things. And he does that at Magdalena. Lauren, that works in the office, she'll keep him company. But if she opens the front door, he'll lay it right there in the sun and sun himself and greet visitors. He does the same thing at Churchill Barn. Does the same thing here. He's a creature of habit, like we all are.
I love it. Everybody loves Sonny. All right, couple more questions here. I know Kenny is very loyal to the jockeys that ride for him. Case in point, Kendrick and Luis Riviera. Is there a reason why he would not use a hot jockey like Santana Jr.? Is these decisions are based on relationships with agents, or do you ever change your mind on what jockeys you might want to use?
Well, that's a really great question, and I'm excited to answer it because I really like working with one agent. If you get a multitude of agents and you're dealing with a long list of riders and you're trying to, I like continuity with a horse.
Yeah, makes sense.
And when I put a rider on, I'd like for them to ride them 2, 3 races, 4 races in a row to really get an idea. They need those few rides to be able to get to know the horse better. And the problem with New York for us is we don't have the Brian Hernandez. Frank Bernice is his agent, and Frank and me and my assistant Greg, and we go over every horse probably twice a week, and I know exactly where I stand with him. He rides. He helps get the young horses ready. He knows every horse in my barn. Frank knows where they should run. And so as a team, we're what I'd call rowing in the same direction and together, right? In New York, I don't really have that. I don't have what I'd call a house rider up here, like Brian. We've attempted to do it with Kendrick, but Kendrick's got so much business that he can't always ride them.
Gotcha.
And then I do like to anticipate the future. I like to give young riders an opportunity. Years back I rode Dylan Davis a lot. Now I can't get him.
Mm-hmm.
And the New York riders are loyal to their New York customers.
Makes sense.
And we're not a New York outfit per se. We're certainly, we participate up here, but we're not. It's not our base. And so the New York agents and jockeys don't really. They won't stick with me, or at least unless it's a really, really, really good horse. Of course, anybody would want to ride Anna, and anybody would want to ride Mystic Dan, but Brian's established his spot there. But in New York, we haven't gotten that. And now Luis Rivera is a kid that he hasn't won but one race at the meet, and we've been giving him some shots, and he's done a decent job. Some of my clients are questioning why you're riding Luis, but then I've given some to Kendrick, and he's won. And we have had Chris Elliott has done a good job for us up here too. But Luis Rivera is working hard, and he's been a big help for the summer, and we're going to continue to give him a few mounts in the fall. And I'd like to see him get a little momentum, start winning a few races, but I think he will during Aqueduct. Okay. When the bigger name riders start leaving for the winter,
yep.
He'll be a rider that will be, I think, in more demand, and we'll probably use him on some horses this coming fall and winter.
It's a great answer. I mean, that really gives you some insight to where you're thinking there, because I know it seems interesting who gets picked to ride what horse. I know you gave a tip this past weekend or the past week of Farrell. And it was weird. At one point, it looked like Brian Hernandez was actually riding a different one of your horses in the same race, which ended up scratching. So it's always interesting kind of who rides who.
Yeah. Well, in Farrell's case, Luis really knows Farrell.
Got it.
and he's gotten on him a lot, and he was really strong. Like, please let me ride that one.
I bet.
Unfortunately, Farrell popped what you call a curb. He's a curbed hock, which is a small ligament that runs down the back of the hind leg.
Okay.
And a curb hock is actually pretty minor, but Farrell's going to need a little bit of a break to get that sorted out.
Oh man.
And it'd be like a sprain in your elbow or
Yeah.
something like that. That'd be the best way to
So what
explain
happened
it.
in the race?
Yeah, he did. He ran third,
Yeah.
but it looked like he was going to win, and then he kind of hung. But his left hock is a little bit inflamed coming out of the race, and this is something that we're going to wait about probably 10 days before we put him back in training, and then we'll watch it. We might do something what they call freezing it, because it's a ligament that runs across the back end of below the actual ball of the hock, but it runs below that. If I could probably pull him out at some point and show you, but it's a very subtle injury. It's not a long-term thing. It's a very, very easy thing to sort out.
Gotcha. Okay.
Let me show you this. These are the condition books we're working through right now.
Right.
Right now, we have Kentucky Downs we deal with. We're dealing with Saratoga. This is the last day of the Saratoga meet. We've got Colonial,
Wow.
which is still running till the middle of September. That's the Oaklawn book. Pat Pope is the best racing secretary about getting his condition books out early. That meet doesn't start till December. That's how Johnny on the spot he is. Keeneland book just came out, so we're marking it up because we always like winning at Keeneland. Indiana, Horseshoe Indiana, which is or Horseshoe Indianapolis Racing. We're running a few up there, not too many, but I have to keep an eye on that book every day. Monmouth is running until mid-September,
Mm-hmm.
so we've got that one. And then we don't yet have the Belmont at Aqueduct book, and we don't have the Churchill book. So these are daily studies that I have to sit down hours yesterday and just going through these books and picking races for horses and where they're going to go next and who rides where, and it's a lot of logistics. This is here's the Belmont. I just printed these offline. These are the Belmont Race Index, and these are the Churchill Race Index.
Okay.
And so these are the kind of things that we deal with on a daily.
Do you enjoy that piece of it?
Well, if you pick the right race, that could be 9/10 of the battle if you pick the right spot.
Okay.
And so there's an old saying, keep your horses in bad company and yourself in good.
Right.
So the easier the race, the better chance you've got to win. And
Sure.
Of course, keep yourself in good company, according to the quality of people you're around. But picking races is, in many cases, the difference. It's a difference in winning and losing. We've got to find the softest spot to win, but yet you don't want to lose the condition. When you say lose the condition, you don't want to break your maiden. Like, for example, in Indiana, if I run in Indiana, I'm running for $32,000 for a maiden race.
Okay.
If I run at Kentucky Downs, I'm running for 170.
Big difference.
If it's a Kentucky bred. At Oaklawn, it's 100,000, but that's not till December, so we don't need to go there yet. At Colonial, it's 70,000. Actually, Colonial's done a good job increasing their purses this year because they've got HHR, historical horse racing,
Yep.
which is
Yep.
the kind of a slot machine type of deal.
Yeah.
But they're getting a lot more money for that. Saratoga's $100,000 maiden race, but it drops to 90 when we go to Belmont at Aqueduct.
Okay.
And then Keeneland's $100,000 maiden races. And then Monmouth, which I haven't run any maidens down there, but we'll look those up real quick. Let's see here. A Monmouth maiden race, 47,500.
Okay.
And so those are the decision making. Like yesterday, I ran a horse named SS Quality that was here in New York, but it didn't feel like he was a horse that could win in New York. So we sent him to Colonial, and he had a really good second, a maiden special weight down there. And then so he keeps that condition, and we may try to get him back in before the meet's out down there. But But I could have run him at Saratoga, but I thought the race in Saratoga would be 8-10 lengths tougher than the race at Colonial. And I believe I was right because he ran better. Best race he's run was at Colonial, but a little softer company.
Sure.
And then this is the race schedule for Dubai. And so they're already politicking for horses to go to Dubai for the winter. And we're going to probably send a string to Dubai. I know we've got, that's Hit Show winning the Dubai World Cup. But we'll probably send a group over there for Wathnan Racing. We've got 2 for them right now, Hypnus and also Generous Tipper.
Oh, okay.
So those that's the these are books that we have to work out of.
Do you? I mean, obviously, it seems like you typically handle that for your operation. Is that normal for the other big name trainers? Do they normally kind of do the same thing, or do they have people that help them do this?
Well, Steve Asmussen is probably one of the most intelligent guys you'll ever be around in horse racing, and they say he makes every single one of his entries himself every day. I make decisions on entries, and I delegate it to the agent or my assistant to make the actual entry.
Sure.
But Scott Hare, who's a longtime friend of mine, says Steve makes all of his entries everywhere, which is in itself a very complicated job.
I bet.
Much less overseeing all the horses. So I think that's pretty amazing that he does all of those himself. And yet every top trainer is studying these books.
Got it.
They go home. I mean, Todd Pletcher will have these books and have to sit down and make decisions on where horses are going and where they're going to run next. And then you have to study the past performances of the horses that are coming. And like for example, this is my Churchill set list.
Okay.
And we use T-Lore, and I've marked all these races. And then when I make a change on a race, you see where I've marked in the blue ink?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Those are races that I've changed. And then what I do is I'll take my cell phone, which you're taking up right now, and then I'll scan this and send it to the assistant at that division. And then he or she will update the races.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm a Sharpie.
I bet.
I live with these Sharpies.
Amen.
Yeah. So that's kind of an inside look on what we all deal with. Yeah. Trainers are studying these books. They're probably in the hands of every top trainer that runs big outfits. And, I was reading the other day about, super trainers. I've been nicknamed, super trainer,
right?
Whatever. But I was a small trainer for a long time. And I guess when you have success, you have to deal with next level of business. But, top trainers we have to deal with all these books. And there's a lot to wrap into your head, put in your head and absorb and be ready to deal with.
All right, Kenny, a few more here. One of our listeners wants to know if you had any pork chops while you're in France.
Pork chops. I don't remember having a pork chop in France.
I don't know. I don't know why. That's a weird question. Maybe pork chops are a thing there. I'm not sure.
Well, we ate the Drakkar, which is in downtown in the middle of Deauville. That was good. And then when we ate at a restaurant on the beach that was unbelievable called Ciro's, Ciro. Here in New York, it's Siros. And the restaurant on the beach in Deauville is amazing, Ciro's. But I didn't get a pork chop. Right. I had some sort of ravioli and some shrimp.
Well, you're right. I mean, you're in France. Come on.
The oysters were unbelievable.
Oh, there you go. All right. Last question here, Kenny. How many links does a horse have to get beat for you to consider a drop in class? For example, I think a horse that gets beat by 5 links or less shows that they're competitive enough to run them back in the same class. What's your thoughts?
Well, I develop a lot of young horses, so that really depends on what that horse's sale price was.
Okay, that makes sense.
It depends on what stage they are in development. And then once you get a consistent level of talent and you can see that, then you adjust according to that. Now, I'm not like a claiming trainer where my decisions, do I run for 35,000, 25,000, or 16,000? I make the decision according to, whether that horse has been short and long, and I've tried it turf and I've tried it dirt. And as I've reiterated over the years on this, I don't worry about my win percentage. I'm more worried about developing a horse and trying a little of this and a little of that before we start dropping. And once you realize a horse's talent level is limited, then you make the decision, okay, let's put this horse, whether it's, mid-level claiming, lower level claiming, then you start moving towards wherever that horse is competitive to win. And if you lose that horse, then that's okay. We've got a horse that comes to mind is Rich Vino, and the horse has not shown any talent. We gave a lot of money for him. In his first race, he ran for 50 and he got beat. In his second race, he ran for 30 and he got beat. And the next time we're going to run him for 20. And we've got a lot of money in him, and he can't run. Yeah. I mean, he's not shown any talent. Now, he's sound and he's healthy and he tries, but he just can't get there.
Yeah. Makes sense. Really well said. All right, Kenny, anything else before we get out of here?
I don't think so. We're going to finish up strong here at Saratoga, I believe. And then we've got runners at Kentucky Downs this weekend. I've got my guys are going to go in and handle that, Greg Geyer and Kevin Glodowski. And then I'm going to stay up here till the end. I've got to tie off some loose ends. I might be back up here before the before the fall's over. But Keeneland September sales is going to be a focus. And then there's an outside possibility I'm going to go to Ireland or England for some sales. But right now I'm going to take that as it comes, and I haven't committed to those yet.
I love it. All right, man. Well, as always, thank you for checking in, and thank you to our sponsor, Hallway Feeds, for this week's podcast. Kenny, we'll see you at the races.
See you at the races.
Horse Races Now, the app to follow horse racing at over 1,200 tracks worldwide. View entries and results. Get notifications on your favorite horses, jockeys, trainers, racetracks, and owners. Users set up and revise notifications like live video at the gate, call to post, entries, results replays, etc.